Jake Gyllenhaal is our strong, independent Middle Eastern prince. Me, is Jake gonna apologize for this, or Jake takes his shirt off? Me, apology accepted, thank you so much. The movie only gets 1 star. 1 star for each of Jake's muscular arms. There are actually 3 princes of Persia in the movie, and somehow Jake Gyllenhaal isn't even the least Persian looking. Welcome back to Every Disney Movie Ever. My name is Jess and I'm watching Every Disney Movie Ever. Today I'm going to talk about Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time is a 2010 theatrical release about Dastan using a sick time dagger to save Persia and all of Alamut. It's directed by Mike Newell, cinematography by by John Seale, editing by Mick, Audsley, Michael Kahn, and Martin Walsh, music by Harry Gregson Williams, and it's written by Boaz, Yakin, Doug Miro, and Carlo Bernard. Also semi-written, but the story was written by, and the original games, because it is based on a video game, were created by Jordan Mechner, and the original game, or at least the Prince of Persia Sands of Time game, which was a reboot, I'm pretty sure, was by Ubisoft, and it's basically you're running around trying to pass traps and climbing and all that good stuff, and you're trying to defeat Vizier. The film stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Dastan, Gemma Arterton as Tamina, Ben Kingsley as Nizam, Richard Coyle as Tuss, Toby Kebbell as Garciv, and Alfred Molina as Amar. Jerry Bruckheimer got the rights and brought on Jordan Mechner, the creator, to write the story. Jordan Mechner wanted to keep elements from the game, but wanted to write a new story that would fit film. He did have an offer to do an animated series, but could not resist Disney's offer. In 2006, Jeffrey Nachmanoff was brought on to write a new script, and then Mike Newell was brought on to direct, and they announced a release date of July 10th, 2009 before they even had like a final set of actors and a final script. Then the film was put on hold because of the 2007/2008 writer's strike, and Mike Newell loved the script and had his assistant play the video game and tell him specific details. The release date for the film was postponed to May of 2010 because they wanted to allow for special effects time. They didn't want to rush the special effects. Jake Gyllenhaal said he over-prepared for the role and gained 6 pounds of muscle. Gemma Arterton did do a bunch of horseback riding lessons and stuff in Madrid before filming. They filmed in Morocco and, I believe, London, and Alanis Morissette recorded the credit song I Remain. The film had $150 to $200 million in budget and made $336.4 million at the box office, which is not good for what the budget was. It has a 37% Rotten Tomatoes rating. It doesn't offer much in the way of substance, but Prince of Persia is a suitably entertaining swashbuckler and a substantial improvement over most video game adaptations. The intention was obviously a franchise, and because of the disappointing box office, they did not move forward with any of those plans. This is visually delightful. It's beautiful. There are many beautiful shots, and then there are just many shots. There is so much coverage, which I'll touch a bit on in the editing section, but there is a ton of coverage. They filmed everything they could, and a lot of the shots are very beautiful. I think the stunts are super fun, and those have some really good visuals as well. I think it's visually very pretty. The editing in this is insane, and maybe it's because they had a slew of editors, but this feels very over-edited. All of the action sequences, there are these really cool, like, moves and flips that Jake Gyllenhaal is doing, and you, like, don't get to see it because they keep cutting between, like, 1,000 shots while he's flipping through the air. And some of them, like, the one I think is the biggest crime, toward the end, when they're getting close to the sand glass thing, he does this, like, backflip from one thing that's falling to go land on a ledge from far away. Very video game moment, right? He does this backflip. There's this awesome shot, super wide shot, master shot, if you will, of him doing it, and I'm like, oh, and you, like, get to see the gap. They're on that shot for like a millisecond before they cut to a shot above him, like really close up on him, doing like the flipping motion. I'm like, I don't care about this angle. This is not the cool part of this. The cool part is the distance in which he is backflipping to save his own butt. Like, they didn't let anything breathe. And editing, while you like want to fast edit in action, you don't want anything to be boring or like I'm on this too long, the action looks dumb now. There is an over edit side of it where you've cut to so many different things you like can't see what's going on. Like your brain can't process the action that's happening. And then on the flip side, they use so much like random slow motion, but the slow motion shots are so fast that you're like, okay, I don't care about the slow motion. I'd rather just see the shot. Like, I'd rather just see it happening. There is a fine line between a nice, quick action edit that is so satisfying and, like, too slow that I'm bored and I don't care, and too fast that I can't even see what's going on. It was so over-edited, its action sequences. And then it made it feel, like, shoddy at best because they were doing the most. It's one of those situations, they used every shot because they could. Like, and that's just because you have all of these angles and all of these shots doesn't mean you need to use them. Like, it's nice to have all of that to cut to in case something else was bad or whatever, but it doesn't mean you have to cut to all those things. What if you find out in the edit that we didn't need that, and that's okay. Like, you don't gotta use it just because you spent $200 million, I don't know. And then the slow-mo in tandem with some of that was weird. What I did like is at the beginning when they were like setting up their plan for the gate and the outer gate and the inner gate, that was super video game, and I could tell that probably came from the Prince of Persia game where like zoomed in and followed. That was super cool. I would have loved to have seen more of that, but they only do that one time. And then the slow-mo they do a bunch, which I think might have been from the video game because it was always like slow-mo when he was doing some cool parkour thing, which is definitely from the video game. So I don't know. I just feel like the action sequences are over-edited, and they don't have to be. There were so many cool action moments that Jake Gyllenhaal was like throwing himself, the stunt actor, was throwing themselves across chasms and other things that look so cool that you see for like a millisecond. They don't let anything cool breathe. So you're just like, okay. Alright, so first and foremost, you have the classic deserty, Middle Eastern, Egyptian, whatever, African desert sounding, or Middle Eastern desert sounding music in the beginning. You got that. Fine. You have some other music that seems really appropriate, some music that's really pretty, and then you have music that is so extra and so past the point of what is happening in the scene that it's a little ridiculous. There were multiple moments that I went, the music? I was like, what is happening? Why is the music like this right now? So it was just like, not all over the place. It was very cohesive. Like, it all made sense to be with each other. Like, it didn't, like, something didn't sound like it didn't belong in the movie. There was just stuff that was like, okay, that's a little much. We didn't need that in this shot of this man just standing here. Like, it's a little, The opening voiceover, I feel like, had to be inspired from the game or something. I have never played Prince of Persia, which I'm kind of intrigued now to play it. Like, reading about, not watching the movie. I mean, watching the movie, sure, it looks fun. But reading about the video game, I'm like, oh, sounds kind of fun. Maybe I'll try to play it. But the opening voiceover felt very video game, so I was wondering if that was inspired by the game. But then you never get voiceover again. So I was like, okay. Seems a little weird to have that and then never circle back to it, never touch on it again. I bet most people by the end of the movie forgot there was an opening voiceover. I did see this in theaters, but I had zero memory of this. Zero. It was like watching a new movie. All I remembered was Jake Gyllenhaal looking how he looked and like him sand surfing for like a millisecond. I feel like that's all I remember. I remembered no plot. I remember no other people that were in it. I remembered nothing else. So it was like watching a new movie, which was very exciting. It's super predictable. Not because I've seen it before. It was just super predictable. Spoilers, but this movie came out 14 years ago, so get over yourself. I saw Uncle Nizam from the beginning. The moment the movie was going, I was like, Uncle wants the throne. Done. Uncle wants the throne. He's the bad guy. And I was watching it with my boyfriend Aubrey, and he was like, I don't know, this other brother, Garciv, seems pretty awful. And I'm like, nah, I think that's a red herring. Like, I think they want you to think he's awful and might be a bad guy or whatever. And then when they like try to frame Tuss for it, I'm like, no, Tuss is oblivious. He's a cute little bean. There's no way. It's Uncle Nizam. And it was. And I was like, okay, called it from the beginning. And then also, I was like, also, we're dealing with time. So, like, I guarantee a bunch of people are going to die. But then they're going to go all the way back to, like, almost the start of the movie and fix it all. And then they did. So, it's super predictable, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It was still, like, fun and still a good little, like, ooh, 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 ooh. But I also feel like they took something that is, like, it's relatively a simple plot when you look at it. Like, it's Dastan is taken in by the king because he sees something in him, so he becomes, like, he is a prince of Persia. And what's happening is Prince Tuss, who's the one that's going to be king, is being manipulated by his uncle, Nizam, saying there are, like, Alamut is supplying weapons to our enemies. We have to go in there. This is what Tuss thinks, this is what a bunch of other people think, so they're going to invade Alamut, but it's a sacred city, so, like, the king is very against this, right? This is all basic, okay? And Nizam is just pulling a fast one on Tuss. He really just wants the sands of time to turn back time and become king, right? That's a very basic concept. I feel like they try to make it so complicated, when it's actually not that complicated and pretty standard. Like, I'm not mad at the idea and the concept of it. It's just, I feel like they're trying to make it really messy and complicated. It's like, okay. What am I going to say? It's too many white people. This is a whitewashed film if there ever was one. I can say I was pleased to see that Jake Gyllenhaal wasn't, like, you know, made, you know. At least there's that, I guess. But this is incredibly whitewashed. It takes place in Persia. Persia! Middle East! The Middle East! And it's a ton of white people, dude. Lots of them. I think the only people of color are Ben Kingsley, because he's half Indian. And then the man that plays Ciso or Sesso, he's, I believe, the only black man in this movie. And he dies. Tie that one up. So, you know, lots of problems, like usual, for this era. Whitewashed. British accents when they're in Persia? I don't know. Jake Gyllenhaal with a British accent? Ugh, it's really not great. I don't know what that's about. I don't know why that's a thing that happens. It's like, if they're in a foreign country and we don't do the accent of the actual country, we do a British one? Because it seems more royal or something? I don't know. Right? It's just a lot of white people, and it really shouldn't have been. My favorite part is Tuss believing him and pressing the dagger button all the way back before he killed himself. That is the best. It's so satisfying, because Tuss then is like, oh, I believe you, but then Tuss dying. That's a big bummer. Least favorite part? Probably the romance. You had to see this coming. The least favorite part being the romance, like, it just, this goes with it's a complicated thing, right? So it's not the worst romance in a movie like this ever, right? They are enemies to lovers, which is kind of nice. It's not like they just are immediately in love with each other. I kind of dig that. Like, that's a lot more tolerable. It's a little more believable for me that they, like, you know, hate each other at first and then slowly are like, oh wait, we see each other, we understand it. Like, that's a little bit better. So, like, it's a little better. I just, like, hate it, though, because it's so unnecessary. It's so not needed in an adventure movie like this. And I also hate it because Tamina is the only female character. Yes, there are other women in the movie, but no other actual named character in the movie is a woman. And it feels very, oh, we gotta have a woman in our movie. She's gotta be the romantic interest. It's like, why can't you just have women in your movie? Why do they gotta be a romantic interest? Why do they have to be extra beautiful? And then I feel like they really thought they did something, like, you know, because she's sassy and strong and, like, has a, you know, is able to speak up for herself and, like, fight and, like, whatever. I feel like they really were like, oh, we gave them a strong female character. thanks. I appreciate the fact that you, like, tried that, but still a bunch of white dudes in a Persian movie, and then one woman, and she's the romantic interest. So, I just hated the romance, because it just gets icky, because a lot of the time when there is only one woman in the movie, she's also a romantic interest, which is just like, why? She's only here so the lead can have a romantic interest, otherwise it's not worth it? Like, ugh. Wreck or Mend or not, sure. Like, it's very, like, it's not as good as Pirates of the Caribbean, but it is a very, like, that's what they were trying for, right? Because it's Bruckheimer. And then watch again, I don't know. Maybe in another 14 years. I don't know, man. I don't know, like, of all, I could watch Pirates. You know what I mean? Like, I could just watch Pirates of the Caribbean. The better version of these Bruckheimer movies. Or I could watch National Treasure. Like, why am I watching Prince of Persia when I could be watching those things? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, it's not the best. It's fun. I'd rather watch this than a lot of other things. But I don't see myself going, you know what I want to watch tonight? Prince of Persia. So, like, I would watch it again, but I don't know. Specific moments. Aubrey, my boyfriend, like I mentioned earlier, killed me because he goes, what do you think the spray tan budget was on this movie? Which is so good, because that's the same sentiment that all those reviews had, where it's like, Jake Gyllenhaal is my Persian prince. Like, it's just my favorite Middle Eastern prince. Like, and then there are 3 Persian princes in this movie, princes of Persia in this movie, and somehow Jake Gyllenhaal is the most Persian looking or whatever, and that made me laugh so hard, because that was also true. And now, okay, there are 2 parent deaths. There were going to be 3. But, they undid that one. So, there's only 2, and it's Dastan's original actual parents. And the thing I kind of want to touch on, Aubrey and I were, like, big agree about this. Like, we both were like, yes. And that's the dagger, dude. They get a dagger that can reverse time up to, like, a minute with the sand in there, and they barely use it in the action sequences. Like, I get the sand is, like, precious or whatever, but you're telling me this movie based off of a video game, and you're trying to do all these cool action sequences, you get a device that you could totally work into the action sequences and make them so cool with him messing with time or whatever, and you do it, like, twice. It's like the time he discovers that they can do it, then maybe one other time, and then the Viper one. The Viper one is the coolest fight, because he sees it coming, and then it's all like, that was so cool. Think about, and then, like, at the end, the climax, when he, like, is trying to fight in his, think about all the cool crap they could have done. Like, if they kept fighting over the knife, and then things kept, like, oh my god, think about how cool that could have been. And they did nothing with it. Nothing. What? It's the sands of time. The whole movie is about that. And this cool dagger, and you barely use it. I get this sand was precious, they barely had any, but, like, whatever. You know, okay. Whatever. Anyway, I digress. It's decent, right? Minus the uncomfortable whitewashing. Ugh. And the romance and the one woman. You know, it's a classic 2010 adventure film. You know? Big budget adventure. That's it. That's everything I got for the Prince of Persia for Prince of Persia Sands of Time, or The Sands of Time. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. God, titles. My final rating is gonna be 7 daggers out of 10. Our total movie count is. Our parent death total is. Cry count is still the same. If you want to keep up with the movie I'm watching when, follow me on all socials. You'll find out what movie I'm watching when. I put out videos every Monday and Friday, sometimes Wednesday. Join Patreon. I got a tier starting at just $1. You get every video a week early, coupon code for merch, and exclusive merch access. Tiers above that, daily trivia, monthly postcards, bonus content, etc. Buy merch. So good. Look at that castle. Until, am I out of focus? Oh Oh my god, I'm so out of focus. I'm so sorry, friends. Oh well, until next time, comment, like, subscribe, but I'm not in charge of your life, you are. So you do you, and don't be nizam about it, for sure. Prince Persia.